Let's start with the mitzvah, which this year will take place on a Thursday night, and that is the search for Chametz. There is a mitzvah to remove and destroy Chametz from your property. Okay, now we're going to do a number of things to get rid of this Chametz. We're going to search for it. We're going to burn it. You have an option as well to sell it. And you're going to nullify, which everyone has to do. There's no option. So we're going to do a number of things to get rid of this stuff called Chametz. Now we already mentioned in previous classes, Chametz represents the Yetzer Hara. Even a small amount of Chametz in your food is a problem. Right? Let's say a non-kosher piece of pig, not that there is a kosher pig, but some non-kosher food ended up in your, your stew. It nullifies 1 in 60. If you have 60 amounts of non-kosher food, it's nullified and you can eat it. You're making a cholent or something, some milk goes in, if there's 60 parts cholent to the 1% milk, you can eat it. It's nullified 1 in 60. That's the general rule of kosher. You're aware of that, right? No. You are now. What?
Why can't you cook with butter?
Butter is milk.
I know.
So you can't put milk inside meat.
No, but I'm saying it's less than 60.
Oh, very, very good. You can't be mevatel l'chatchila. You can't actually rely upon this. This is after something accidentally fell in, then it's a problem. Very, very good. But if it accidentally fell in at that amount, that'll be okay. And there, by the way, it's adding to the taste of the whole thing. So it's a double problem. There, it's actually enhancing the food. But assuming that something falls in if you don't really like or don't really want to be over there, then it's nullified 1 in 60. However, Chametz is different. Chametz is not nullified 1 in 60. It's not even nullified 1 in 1,000. That means even a small amount of Chametz on Pesach, not before Pesach, on Pesach, falls inside your food that you're making, gone. Before Passover, if you're making food, which many people have the custom to make a lot of food beforehand for this situation arises, it is nullified because Chametz is not forbidden before Pesach. So it is nullified 1 in 60, 1 part of 60, which you rely upon the entire year. But comes Pesach, even a small crumb is a big problem. It's toxic. It's peanut allergy for the peanut boy who's girl we can't eat it, right? Even a small amount of it is toxic to us. Okay? So we have to remove it as well as we can. Okay? As well as that, you're not even allowed to own chametz. That's weird. If you want to own something non-kosher, you can do that. But you're not even allowed to own it. You can't even see it. Shouldn't be available in your home. So we're going to get rid of it through a number of ways. The first thing we're going to do is to search the home. Now, we clean our homes nowadays weeks before. We have very big houses, a lot going on inside them, you know. Your house used to be like a little, small room, and one day was like people didn't have that many objects in their homes anyway in those days. Now we do. So now we start searching and clearing the house rather. But the real mitzvah is actually the night before. Okay, so the night of the 14th, at night time, we're going to see the way to do it. Take a candle, you make a blessing. Okay, and the blessing you make is on the destroying of the chametz, abir chametz. You make the blessing, you go around with a candle, and you search. Why a candle? Because candles can get into nooks and crannies. You want to use a flashlight, you can use that too. But you should start with a candle, they say. So you're going to walk around and go to the nooks and crannies and look around and try to find any chametz. Nowadays, you're not going to find any chametz in the house because it has to be completely cleaned. Right? So the custom has become to take 10 pieces of small amount of bread, very small, wrap them up in a piece of paper, and hide them around the house. So that when you make the blessing, you will actually find some chametz as you're searching for it. Are you clear so far? Sure, are you following? Okay, very good. So what are you searching for? So you're searching for any form of leaven, anything which is chametz. Okay, crumbs, whole pieces too. Where do you search? Wherever chametz could have gone. Anywhere that chametz could have ended up, you're going to search. You're not cleaning for dust. You're not cleaning the curtains. You're not cleaning the chandeliers. That's a sprinkling. That's not what this is. Your job is to clear away chametz. Dust is not chametz. There's no chametz in your curtain unless you're having some crazy parties during the year where you were flinging bagels at the curtains, which I highly doubt. You want to find chametz. You want to search and destroy chametz mission. Got it? And you look everywhere. You went to kids' closets. You're going to look inside the pockets of children where crumbs are found constantly. You can look inside the turn-ups of your pants, look inside bags and satchels, look inside all your drawers. Anywhere where chametz could have gone into. You went into your attic once in the year, you go inside there as well. Okay? If there's a room where you never went to, or no one went to the entire year, then obviously not. But if someone went in there, you or someone else, into a room at all, it must be searched. It must be searched. Okay? So you're looking for even a small amount that's going to be cleared up. Anything which is a kazayas, which is an olive's worth, about the size of a matchbox of chametz, should be taken and wiped away, taken away. Okay? Even crumbs. At what level is considered chametz? Let's say it's, I don't know, rotten bread. Is that considered chametz as well? Anything that a dog would eat. Roi lachilas kelev is actually the distinguishing mark. If your dog would eat it, it's chametz. Okay? If you think of something which has alcohol in it, or something chametz that a dog would never touch, something disgusting and putrid, then it wouldn't be a problem. That you can keep. Okay? In my house growing up, we used to have, for some reason, I don't know why I remember this, we had 3 bagels, like a design thing, which was 3 bagels that they glazed over. I think they were real. I was too young to remember, but they were real. I remember my father one place looked up and said, "We have chametz in the house." And the truth was, it wasn't a problem, because the dog would never eat it. Okay? The dog would never eat it. Okay? So that's not roi lachilas kelev. But if anything was dog. Also, you have to look in places where a hand can reach. So you don't have to start moving out your fridge, moving out your oven, because no one's going to go in and actually. What about the chametz? You can't own chametz. You're going to nullify that. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Okay? We'll talk about the search part. Clear so far? Are you confused or are you following? Okay. So you're going to go around, you're going to search everywhere. You're going to search your cars, and the glove compartment in your car. You're going to check your bedrooms and your bags and everywhere else. Let's say you have a house in Australia. Do you have to fly to Australia to go and check out the house? No. For that, you're going to rely upon either selling it or definitely nullifying it. Nullifying, we're going to see, is a declaration that the chametz that I have, that I know about, and that I don't know about, which is the main second declaration, for me is like dust of the earth. When you say that according to Judaism, that food does not exist. And you can never eat it, even after Pesach.
Can you sell something and just live it, like my apartment? Can you sell it and live it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely you can. That's exactly what many people do. Absolutely you can do that. You're going to sell it, right? And actually you're not going to sell it because you don't know how to sell stuff. The selling is a very detailed process. Right? So what we do is we go to our rabbis, which I did as well, and then all the rabbis go together and they put it together and they have sheets and sheets of papers filled up, and they go to a non-Jew who knows, in the Mount Sinai he was a priest, I believe, who knows his laws of acquisition. And they do a number of forms of acquisition, about 4 or 5 different forms of acquisition. Right? Chalipin and Kinyan and Kesef and all the different forms of acquisition in order to get it. According to Jewish law, that non-Jew owns that chametz. It's his. It's in your apartment, and if he wants to get it, he's going to call and ask permission to come. You can't break into your house because it's like you sell me something, right? But you keep it in your house. I can't break into your house and just take it, but I can call and say, "Hey, can I come pick it up?" It's still mine. You use it, you're stealing from me, and you can't steal from this guy. It's his stuff. That's what happens. It's his. Now you have to put it away because there's another problem of Baal Yimatzeh and Baal Yiram, which means you shouldn't be able to see chametz in your house. Main problem because you may see it and you pick it up and eat it because it's kosher. You don't want to be doing that. So it's put away and you have signs and it's taped up and no one's going to touch it. Truth be told, nullification works. You can walk around and say, you know what, the chametz in my house, it's all like dust of the earth. You made that declaration, it is, and it could sit a challah. Could be sitting there, yummy, steamy, delicious challah. You cannot eat it. To you, it's like dust. You can't sell it. You can have no benefit from it whatsoever, even after Passover. Yeah.
Wait, so you can't have nullified chametz after Pesach either?
You cannot have nullified chametz after Pesach.
So this thing that you want to eat after Pesach,
yes.
you sell it.
You'd have to sell it.
Sell it.
Yeah.
Nullification doesn't apply.
And you can't sell it. The rabbis actually do it for you because there's a specific way it's done. But absolutely. The nullified stuff. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to nullify all the chametz that you don't know about. And eventually, actually, in the morning, what you do know about. We'll get there in a second. So now it's nighttime, and you make the blessing, and you're hitting your little piece of bread, because you may not find it chametz because your mother does such a great job of cleaning the house, or you do such a great job, and you're going to travel around, and you're going to go on a search and destroy chametz, and you're going to find it, and you collect it all up, And you're going to take it and use it with a feather, so people have to do it with the feather still, collect it up. But it's a real search. It's not just a symbolic ceremony. You're really looking for chametz, and you'll find stuff. I always find something. Right? When you have kids, they're like mice carrying food to and fro. Right? To and fro. In the old days, it was a much bigger deal. People used to have chametz, and animals used to be running through the house. They would transfer it around. There'd be holes in the walls. Would be stuck in there. It was very, very real problem. Okay. So 4 requirements of the search. You got to check. We're on page 13. Hoirim v'sadkim, holes and cracks, closets, drawers, compartments, anywhere chametz is. Okay. You must use a candle or a flashlight. Most people say you should start with the candle, then go to flashlight. Okay. You should do it at nighttime, and the reason is because the candle reflects better at nighttime. You'll get to you'll see it much clearer at nighttime. Okay, and people are usually more available at nighttime than day. Right, so that's when it happens. As soon as the sun stars come out, you're off. Okay, and it's done on the 14th of Nisan, which is one day before Pesach. So Pesach Seder night is Friday night this year. This is done Thursday night. Okay.
What if Pesach is Saturday?
So if it's Saturday night, then it's done 2 nights before, because you can't be doing this on Saturday itself. Right? Okay. If you're traveling before Passover and you're leaving within 30 days of Pesach, right? You should perform the bedika and the bittul. Okay, you have to actually do it. You should actually find someone do it for you when people cannot. You do it before you go, and you don't make a blessing. Okay? And the blessing you make is on the destruction of the chametz, because the next day you're going to destroy it. In the morning you're going to destroy it. And the nullification you make at nighttime is all chametz that I don't know about should be nullified. The next morning, you're going to say, other way, that you do know about. The next morning, that you do and don't know about. You're going to nullify everything. So there's 2 nullifications, one by night and one by day. And that's a declaration, you'll find it in the beginning of your machzorim.
So first you nullify all the chametz that you know about, but haven't you already sold in the chametz you know about?
You've not sold it yet. It goes into action when Pesach begins. It kicks in at that point. So what you're going to do is, you still have bread to eat the next day. So the chametz you know about, you do know. You have a bagel sitting home. You don't have that bagel the next morning. So you're only going to nullify the chametz you don't know about.
Oh, so first you nullify the
stuff you don't know about. And then you're going to finish breakfast, and then you're going to get stuff you don't know about, and stuff you do know about. You're going to get rid of all of it.
Okay.
It's nullified for you, it's nothing at all. Right? And then you're going to burn it. Anything you have, you burn it. If you're able to burn it. If not, you'll find some way to destroy it. Flush it, or to pour bleach on it, or make it so it's not really like achilas kelen. So it's not even fitting for a dog to have. And that becomes your destruction. That's a small amount. That's a small amount. But the rest you have thrown away, or you've disposed of.
Chametz after you burn it? No, right?
No, that's it. It's forbidden to you. Chametz becomes forbidden to you rabbinically, actually, some say even in the morning. In the morning. Here, I'll show you. Jump, if you will. So see, go to page 16, and you'll see the bittul, the nullification. The text of the bittul is Kol Chamira, you see anything which is in my possession. All right. Should be destroyed. Nothing like, and you read it in Aramaic. And then in English as well. You should say it orally, and it should be said in a language you understand. Okay? The first one is after the search, and the second is after the burning of the chametz, and then you're done. Once you nullify, you're done. Done. Okay? What was your question again?
Eating after you burn it.
No, done. Absolutely forbidden. Absolutely forbidden. Okay? Okay, look at page 19, if you don't mind. You're just jumping around, I know, but I got a lot to tell you. So there are important times on Erev Pesach. Now we're Erev Pesach. This year we're talking Friday morning, right? Seder night is Friday night, so that's Friday morning. So for the beginning of the 5th hour, you cannot eat chametz. What's the 5th hour? Well, the 5th hour from daybreak. But these aren't actual 60-minute hours. These are what's called halachic hours, which this time of year are slightly longer than 60 minutes. Okay? So you look aside, most synagogues will produce the time, whatever it is, like 11:50, whatever it is, right? Because sunrise is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever it is. And that becomes the time that you cannot eat any chametz. Okay? That's the beginning of it. By the end of the 5th hour, you should burn any remaining chametz. You're done. Okay? And you recite the second declaration. So by the way, that means Friday day, whatever time you'll see, whether it's 11:50 or 12 something, you cannot eat any chametz. You get the morning hours and that's it. Okay?
Can you like not eat matzah until...
Right, so very, very good. In addition to that, you should not eat matzah the day before Pesach, the Seder night. Right? You should not eat matzah. Why? So you have an appetite for it the night off. So basically, Friday afternoon this year, you're not eating any chametz, and you can't eat matzah. So you'll eat, I don't know, eggs, chips, potatoes, and that's about it. Okay?
Egg matzah is fine, right?
Matzah ashira is permitted, yes. I believe so. I believe it is. Yeah. Right. Actually, we'll do it. That's not considered to be real comments, yeah.
This is the lesson I'm leaving you with. Hold on. No. In the world out there,
yes. Matzah that is fit for the Seder. Matzah shir is not fit for the Seder. Matzah shir is called rich man's matzah, that literally means. And it means flour mixed with like an egg, right, to make it, so that cannot come chametz, because only water and flour come chametz. Okay, you can actually eat that on Pesach. Just fire them on a lot more lenient. Ashkenazim, if they need, like an elderly or something, to need to eat it, you can. So that you can do. Yeah? So that's your Friday. Are we together? Fantastic. Okay. Some people have the custom not to eat any matzah from Rosh Chodesh Nisan, right? Which is 50 days before, right? And some for a whole month before. Right? They still they want to eat some matzah. It's a customs. But the night before they bring the day before is brought down. That is a real. You should refrain from it in order to be excited about eating your food. Okay? Erev Pesach falls on Shabbos. We don't need now. Okay. Let's move. Let's talk about the night stuff. So now you've got rid of your chametz. You said your 2 nullifications, right? You burnt it, hopefully, right? Now we're going to jump to page 23. Let's talk about the actual night itself. Seder night. Okay? Now just, how long do you think it should take you to get rid of all the chametz in your house? Store it, put it away? Yeah. Take a guess.
Like realistically, or?
Yeah, realistically, yeah.
Like cleaning and getting everything ready?
That's a clean. Get rid of the chametz. You gotta get rid of the chametz. You're not spring cleaning.
I know what my secret's going to be.
Okay.
And a day. And for women for weeks before are panicking, running around, right? It's also the cooking preparation. Right. So this is actually asked by one of the rabbis, I believe the Rabbeinu Nissan the Run, and he says, why is it that you try to get rid of chametz, and you women spend so much time cleaning? And he says, because Jewish women see that this is such a big problem, having any chametz in the house, no matter what we tell them, they're going to make a big deal out of cleaning the house. Make a big deal out of it. That's the holiness, he says. That's what he says. So we have 7 mitzvot at the Pesach Seder table, page 23. 2 of them are Torah obligations. 5 of them are rabbinic obligations. Okay? The 2, what we call in Hebrew, mitzvah, actually Aramaic, doraita, from the Torah, and 5 dirabanan from the rabbis. What are these mitzvot? So the 2 mitzvah doraita, by the way, so you have to sell your chametz, you realize that, yeah? Nowadays you do it online. Right? Yeah, no problem. Go online, you basically put the information where it is, and you give me it's a real sale. You do that, that chametz does not belong to you. By the way, let's say you have a store that doesn't sell its chametz, and a Jewish person owns it. So there's an interesting rabbinic law, which is chametz avalav Pesach. Chametz avalav Pesach means chametz that was owned by a Jew over Pesach. You cannot eat after Pesach either. It's a rabbinic injunction, and a big one. That means if you know a Jewish person who had a box of Cheerios and they owned it over Pesach, you cannot eat those Cheerios even after Pesach. And that's not a Torah prohibition because it's not Pesach. That's obvious. But it is rabbinic. And that's what most Judaism is anyway. Let's say there's a store owned by a Jewish person and he owns all chametz in there. Bread, cookies, croissants, whatever you want. And you know what happens? He doesn't sell it. I don't care. You can't walk in the morning after Passover, this year Sunday morning, and be like, okay, I'll have a box of Cheerios, please.
What about like a kosher supermarket?
So they close and they sell the chametz. They don't own it.
They sell the whole.
It's a challenge. Used to be much easier, now it's difficult.
They sell their whole supermarket, let's say.
They get a religious person owns it, he'll sell all the chametz or get rid of all the
I
chametz.
can't eat. I can.
He doesn't own it. Of course you can. They can eat. He didn't own it. So the person actually owns the chametz. Has possession of it. He sold the chametz though. I own my house, I sell the chametz.
But he can't eat it after technically, right?
He doesn't own it, he sold it to a non-Jew.
What is unique about me?
He sells
My
it
house,
the
I have
same
chametz
way
in my
they
house.
sell, yeah.
I sold all the chametz, I sell it. Chametz goes out, the person wishes to buy it, sell it back because he's going to make some money out of it probably,
Then we can have it.
and then we can have it. We're talking about a person who owns it, doesn't sell it, does nothing, just lives with this stuff in their possession over Pesach. It's a problem. Big problem. If there is a supermarket, a big chain, where majority of the shareholders are Jewish, right, or the owners of the supermarket are Jewish, it's a problem. There can be one such place in Monterey where I live, and people don't shop there for a little bit afterwards. Bread is fine, because bread within a few days, gets passed through. But Cheerios can sit on a shelf for how long? Weeks? It's a problem. If it's owned by a Jew. If it's a minority holder, it's not a problem. Okay. So that's how far we go about protecting the chametz. Okay, so what are the two Torah obligations? First one is reading the Haggadah, as it says in the Torah, because it's a mitzvah of the Torah. V'gadat el bincha bayomahu. You got to read the Haggadah. Talk about it. Discuss it. Nowadays we have a beautiful set text which goes back a long time, and it tells the story of the Exodus. It actually doesn't start with the Exodus. It actually starts, it goes all the way back to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. It's basically a review of Jewish history. That's half of the Haggadah. The latter half of the Haggadah, actually, is all about the future and the messianic redemption, interestingly enough. So it starts with the story of the Jewish people up to and including the Exodus and right after, and then it moves into future messianic times. Okay, so that's the story. And whoever speaks and discusses the story, the more you speak, the better it is. So the job of Pesach is not to sit with your Maxwell Haggadah and just race through it. It's not a speed reading contest. It's to read it, you say in a language you understand, and to enjoy it, and get something out of it, and discuss it. You have to sit on every word. It's not a piece of Gemara, Talmud. You have to sit on every word. Right? But what is this going on? Why is this a good thing? Ask questions. Now, interestingly, the command is v'gadat bincha. Talk to your, what's a ben? Son. Talk to your kids. Why is it towards kids? We discussed this last week a little bit, right? Maybe we didn't. Why children? Why are we talking about children? You talk about children Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Purim, Rosh Hashanah, Shavuot? No. All very good, great Jewish holidays. But we want our kids involved. Why?
It's about passing over the
It's about passing over the tradition to the next generation. We already said there's 4 sons, right? We're going to pass it on to the next generation. We want them to enjoy it, to get something out of it. We want them to remember. And therefore we add a lot of weird stuff that we don't normally do during the entire year. We read things differently, we act differently, we have our kids stealing stuff, looking for stuff, trying to find the afikomen, and all this is there. We offer them gifts and we bribe them. All of that is there to involve the children as best as possible. Keep them interested so they know and appreciate it. I don't know if I mentioned last week the story of my friend with Eliyahu Navi. I mentioned that story. Were you here last week? I have a friend of mine, grew up completely secular. I mean, like, nothing. No Judaism whatsoever.
No bar mitzvah?
Go on it, maybe a party, maybe, but really nothing at all. No Yom Kippur, nothing at all. The Passover Seder, they had like matzah and bread on the table. His father was a very successful doctor, since passed away. And he wrote books, his father, a very talented man. However, once a year on Pesach, his father would stand up, walk over to the door, open the door, wait 5 seconds, and then close the door. And my friend would ask, what are you doing? To his father, he says, sorry, Elijah the prophet, Eliyahu Navi, his spirit comes to the Pesach Seder. And he says, you know what? Years later he said, that image of my father, we need to accept there was more than just a physical world, there was a spiritual reality to the world, impacted me, and it became a very connected Jew, should I say. He's now married with kids, he's a therapist. He was actually the best man at my wedding, my show man, my guard. So that 5 seconds a year can impact children. You don't know, it's not quantity, it's quality. So talk to your kids, and this is the night to do it. The beginning, because we're talking about the beginning of our people. It's our history. Right? So you want them to be involved in that whole thing. And it's not just it's everything. It's the food, it's the smell, it's everything. Okay? It's acting it out, like we said last week, right? You got to act it out. Did we discuss that last week? Laharo, we didn't talk about that. Different communities, different customs, you act it out. You live the experience. Okay? That's mitzvah number 1. Mitzvah number 2 is, so it has to be done verbally. You got to speak it out. You can't just read it, stand in your head. You got to speak it out. And by the way, if you don't have any children, and you only have old people there, and you're 99 years old, not that you are, and there's a 98-year-old, you talk to the 98-year-old. A 98-year-old asks the questions. Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol haleilot mikol haleilot shebachol haleinot anu chametz u'matzah halayla kulo matzah. And so you ask, and so you have the older one answer the questions. I'll tell you why, because we were slaves in Egypt, and we couldn't eat. We were slaves, and we used to survive on this simple food called matzah. But that same matzah represented our redemption from Egypt. And you talk to them, and you engage them, and you make them, you wash their hands twice. You do all this weird stuff, and all of it's there too. And different communities have different customs. In some, I spoke this Friday morning at a school. There was like a few hundred kids there. A girls' school in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and I said, "What kind of customs do you have?" And one girl said, "We dress up," and one said, "We pass the matzah. The Moroccans pass the matzah over their heads and bless each other." And one girl said, "We take a hard-boiled egg and we smash it on a guest's head." I said, "That's not a custom. That's abuse." And we hit each other with spring onions, right? Scallions. That's right. To remember the beatings that our ancestors went through. And scallions, because they complained they didn't have enough onions in the desert. Right? So that's what we use. Yeah, that's what it's about. Yeah. Balosacha. They complained about the basar, the dug, the meat, the fish, about the shum, the garlic, avatiach, the watermelons, and the basar, the onions. All the onions that you want to eat. You want to go back for onions? Give them a smack. Give them a smacking. That's what you want to go. That's what you want to give up your freedom for? To go back into prison for a nice, delicious lunch? That's not us. Yeah. So it should be done verbally, question answer format, which is done for us already. Okay, we ask questions, and you have to explain the reason behind the mitzvahs. Pesach, matzah, maror is the main aspects. Pesach referring to the paschal lamb. Second mitzvah, doraita, is the matzah. The matzah, you have to eat matzah. Okay. So matzah represents freedom. At the beginning of the Pesach Seder, it represents servitude, because that's what slaves eat. Simple, unadorned food, lechem oni, no salt, right? No sesames on top, no chocolate sprinkles, plain. But at the end, it represents freedom, because we left quickly the chipazon in order to get to Mount Sinai. So the same matzah represents slavery at the beginning of the Seder, represents freedom at the end of the Seder. You got it? So that's the important part. Okay, that becomes the representative. How much you have to eat? So the first eating, you're going to do a lot of matzah eating. By the way, you're going to eat for Hashem, for God on Pesach night. You're eating for the Lord. Page 23. You're going to eat for Hashem. So the first is two kazesim. So how much is that? So different opinions, because that's actually an olive's worth amount. If you crush it down, is the amount into a thing. I would say about the size of your hand is a suitable amount. Right? Just that, including your thumb, is a good amount. Okay, and you eat it leaning to the left. You must lean, otherwise it will be a problem. Okay, so that's that. You can eat more matzah later on for the Hillel sandwich and for the afikomen.
What is leaning?
Leaning, haseba, is actually one of the mitzvahs of the night, you see? And that's going to lean to the left, like we're free people. Free people get to relax. So we act it out. So the Rambam, laharot, we should act out the whole Pesach Seder. So we lean like free people.
Why do we lean? Why do free people lean?
Because they can sit back and relax. Actually, we don't do it too much nowadays. It's symbolic for us, but it used to be that when people would eat, right, they would used to have couches, they would lie down on the couch and lean to the left. And eat like that. I think we're going to do it right now, Shira. I got nervous there for a second. I thought we lost you there. Lean under the table, dear. Right, lean and wide to the left, because that's the way the windpipe flap is. You go to the right, it opens up, it's dangerous. So we lean to the left. And that's actually one of the mitzvahs I was going to say of the night. So what are the 5 rabbinic mitzvahs? Number 1, Number 1, 4 cups of wine. We spoke about that already, right? Was that last week, right? We represented 4 redemptions, and you should drink 4 cups. You should drink the entire cup ideally. If not, at least most of it. Therefore, don't use a humongous cup. You should try to drain it. It should be red wine ideally. You can use low alcohol wine, but it should be red wine. Like, you should be joyous.
Is it okay to blend wine and grape juice?
Yes, it is okay to blend. Ideally, you should try it at least the first cup. Try to drink a full cup of wine, but if you can't, you can blend wine and red grape juice. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If you feel yourself losing control,
If you're
and if you're an alcoholic,
running out of wine.
if you're an alcoholic, don't run out of wine. Buy lots of bottles of wine. If you're an alcoholic, you can use grape juice alone. Right? Don't break your sobriety.
Is it also for women?
All the mitzvahs of Pesach are for women as well. Women are included in all. Although it's a mitzvah that are time bound, right? Mitzvah shezman grama, time bound that women are not obligated in, like tefillin and tzitzit. But this one, since women were also saved and they were part of the redemption through the great holy Jewish women, the Jewish people were able to leave, right? So because they were, number 1, redeemed as well, they have to be grateful, and 2, they were actively part of that redemption. The reason we're redeemed was because of their righteousness. Women are obligated in all the mitzvahs, same as men. Okay.
Are there strict requirements as to what constitutes a lean, proper lean?
I've never seen very good. I've never seen a certain degree of it, but we'll see in a second. We're going to get there in a second. So red wine is good. Grape juice suffices. Okay, but ideally you should be drinking wine because you're happy. Okay. How much wine? So the cup should be full, and the cup should hold enough wine to hold a minimum of 3.5 ounces. How much is that? Well, think of an ounce. Shot glass is an ounce. 3.5 of those is the bare minimum. The upper limit is 5.2 fluid ounces. That's the Chazon Ish. That's a large amount. It should hold that amount, and that is the amount you should drink on each time, straight down. Well, just like drink it through. Okay. So therefore, don't use a massive cup, but don't use a tiny one. Little kiddie cups you cannot use. It's not sufficient. Okay. Haseba, number 2. One is obligated to lean while drinking the 4 cups of wine and eating the matzah in order to show chayrus, freedom and aristocracy. Right? You're a king. You're a queen. You're a prince. And you're a princess. That's right. You got to be a Jewish American princess. Nothing wrong with that. That is a badge of honor to wear, Shira. Okay. Different customs over here. Sephardim women lean. Ashkenazim, some do, some don't. Basically, what your local community does. If in doubt, you should probably lean. Okay. If you didn't lean during the eating of the matzah, you probably have to re-eat it. So I advise you to remember to lean. Okay. And during the 4 cups, you should lean as well. If you forgot by the 3rd cup, you're okay. Otherwise, you should. Okay. Next, mitzvah derabanan, dipping and eating karpas, a vegetable, a root vegetable. Carrots are sometimes used, I believe. Potatoes, parsley, celery. All these things suffice for karpas. Okay.
Can it be cooked? Haven't we had raw, celery?
Onion. No, I think it's been raw actually.
Okay.
We don't
So you
usually
can have a good bun
we
of
don't
squash.
usually put no. No, this is a carapace. This is not the maror. It's not the maror. This is a carapace. This is to remember the entry. First of all, it's springtime to show that we went from the lower point of the root as root vegetable to out to freedom. Right? So that's, and also carapace represents Joseph's coat. Joseph had a coat, right? That's referred to as carapace, and he was the first one into exile. So we begin the Seder by remembering that coat of the brothers who remember got upset with Joseph, sold into slavery. He was the first one into Egypt. So you have to get him involved in the whole thing. The next one is dipping the maror into the charoset. Now charoset is going to be this brown, pasty, deliciously mixture of apples and wine and cinnamon and other such nuts, all put together in a big blender. You mix it all up, and represents the mud the Jewish people had to build the houses with. And it also takes a little bit of the sharpness of the maror. What is maror? So most people use romaine lettuce, and that suffices. Now romaine lettuce may not be so bitter, but the more you bite it, the more and eat it, the more it does become bitter. It's actually a pretty good thing to have, because the Egyptian exile did not start bitter, it started off okay, and then it got more bitter as you went along. So romaine lettuce is good enough for this. My father-in-law, however, is obsessed with grinding down a large root of horseradish, not the red stuff they cut with beet, which ain't so potent. This stuff goes into out of your nose, like fire comes out. Okay?
Just sorry, how is the karpas symbolic of Yosef?
So his coat is referred to as karpas in the Torah. So it's a play on words. Do you remember there? And that's one aspect of it. But it's also the idea of being a root vegetable. We go from inside to out, right? It's also this holiday must appear in the springtime. Pesach must appear in Chodesh Aviv. So we're tapping into that energy too. And finally eating the maror. Okay? Now, your Seder table, I should have mentioned already, should be really nice. It should be set with the finest china. You shouldn't use paper plastic plates. You should get nice, beautiful china. You should decorate. The Seder table should look beautiful. The best stuff you have, you should use for Pesach. This is the day to show it off. Okay, you prepare it. You should have stuff to give kids, right? In the Gemara, talk about it. We have different gifts, right? We want to get the kids interested.
Do children, are they supposed to get their parents gifts?
No. Parents get the children gifts. It's all about you entertaining them, interesting them, discussing, dressing up, whatever it is. 2016. Use your imagination. And you have a Seder plate. Different forms of how the Seder plate is set up. Right? And that's set up like that on page 25. Right? And what's on it? Usually we go with the lagon over there. We have everything on there. We have the zeroah, right? That is the shank bone, reminiscent of the Paschal lamb. We have the egg. Why is there an egg on the table? We discussed last week.
Roundness.
Morning. Right? Morning, we said, is a circular thing. We eat it in the morning, and also it reminds us of the Korban Chagiga, right? The sacrifice that was brought in time of the temple. Then we have the 15 steps of the Pesach Seder, which I'm not going to do again this week. I don't want to go through that. Those are 15 steps. We did that already. Did we go through all of them last week? Yeah, I think we did. Right? We did. Okay. But just an important point I will mention, I'll say it again. We do not finish the Pesach Seder at the meal. That is not the end of the Seder. It carries on afterwards. If you want to fulfill the mitzvah, you're going to go right to the end. Okay? To the Shana Bar Yerushalayim section of it. Right? You've got to do Ben Shibach Hamazon and Hallel. And then Nirtza, songs of praise and thanks to Hashem. It's beautiful songs we have. They have depth to it. Echa B'Yadeyah and Chargadja and Chasal Seder Pesach. All the things at the end, they all have significance and should be read. And you can hang out and talk and discuss. Right? All this should be read. So don't finish your Pesach Seder at the meal. If you sit there by yourself and everyone's fallen asleep, you sit down by yourself and you read the rest of Haggadah. Won't take you too long. Alright? In language you understand. Alright. Oh, baby. You know what? I went too quickly. Any questions on anything we discussed this evening?
I like the website.
Chabad has it on their website. Do it soon. Yeah, Chabad. Yeah, Chabad has it. Yeah, you'll find it. There's plenty on there. I would do it for you. I already did it for a whole bunch of people last night. Yeah, it's all there. It's all there. Okay? So Thursday night, you search, you gather it together, put it away, make the notification. The next morning, you burn it.
There's a certain time Thursday night that you have to do it by.
Have the stars come down. No, you can spend all night doing it if you want.
All right.
Can you explain the nullification, the 1 in 60 nullification rule?
Okay, that is a law which applies all year.
For just kashrut?
Yes, for kashrut, yes. And that is that taste is imparted by less than 1 in 60. Once an item is nullified by 1 part in 60 parts, the taste of that item is now diffused and you cannot taste it. So according to us, it does not exist.
So like in theory, you could have like a piece of bacon if it was in proportion
Absolutely correct.
to like 60 kosher.
One stipulation: if you can see the bacon, you got to take it out. But if it's mixed in, you can't identify it, and it's lost inside the mixture, but it's a small amount compared to a big part, not a problem.
What is this 1 in 60
1 in
ratio?
60 ratio comes from the Talmud, and a number of things are 1 in 60.
Is it like weight?
No, it's amount.
Volume?
Volume. It's a volume reality. 1 in 60.
But it has to be but it has a minimum size?
No, if you have a massive pot and you have a large piece of something that fell inside, a jug of milk fell inside, you have 60 parts of that pot to that, right? It's nullified.
Even if it's visible, as you said
If it's
before.
visible, you got to take it out. But if it's not visible, and then it needs to be 160 even by the part that was visible.
So even if let's say it's visible, but you can't see it because
It's not visible, is it?
You
You
missed
can't see
it.
it.
You just missed it.
Then you can't see it.
But
It's not visible.
if you mix it, then it becomes visible. Then obviously you take it out.
Yeah, if
but-
you see it, right? The Shulchan Aruch, when you study this, a lot of studying for smicha is studying this stuff, right? So let's say it's about if a mouse falls inside your
stew. If it's a big pot of stew, it's okay.
take the mouse out, by the sound. No? Whoop! 60 parts.
You make a new stew anyway.
1 in 60 is the fraction. On Pesach does not work. Erev Pesach it does, but on Pesach it does not. Even a small amount of crumbs. So we're very, very. And the prohibition for eating Chametz is much worse than eating non-kosher, by the way. Chametz is correct. Spiritual excision is very, very. It's like eating Chametz like eating food in Yom Kippur. Eating Chametz like eating food in Yom Kippur. Don't mess with that.
You know, like the people like the Gebroks thing, like
Yes,
mixing matzah with
very, very
water.
good. So that is a stringency called gebroks. And that is that some people hold, Sfarim do not, some Ashkenazim do, Hasidim do, is that if a little happy now? If it could be that it was baked in a little pocket of flour, didn't get completely cooked, right? So inside there, and if it touches water, it's going to become chametz. That is not halacha. That is not halacha.
So where did they get that from?
It's a stringency. Pesach times for stringencies. Right?
So you know, like there's like matzah ball mix that says non-Gebroks. Like what's that? How is that non-Gebroks? If I'm
I don't know.
be taking my matzah meal and mixing it with oil.
If it ends up touching water, it's done.
Right.
You know, there's different customs. Some people won't use any bought items. When I grew up, very little available. In my Rosh Hashiva, if a fork, spoon, or knife touched the floor, they put it away to after Pesach. They didn't use it again to the end of Pesach. These are all a lot of stringencies were added to the. That's a family custom over there.
What if they like drink wine and then have a bite of matzah, like in their mouth? It's like
Some people, Lubavitch Hasidim, eat matzah in a bag. Usually like in a bag, so that because there'll be something wet on the table, and or they'll move something out of the way, they'll put a new tablecloth down and eat it, so nothing touches at all. Very
they
strict.
won't drink until after.
Now, in the mouth itself, it's like, no, I don't believe so. But if it eats it, and then it falls down, it goes into the. Because then it's going in, it's being eaten. So once it's in there, it's going down. But it's like outside. They literally just eat it, or they'll put a separate tablecloth out. They have different. That's how careful they are. Toxic waste. But you're not obligated to do that. unless it's your family custom, which I'm assuming it isn't. Are you Sephardi? It's okay. We still love you. Still part of the people. Any other questions on anything we discussed this evening? Anything else Pesach related?
So there's two sailors.
Yes, we have two seders. They're both exactly the same for us. We do them exactly the same way. In Chutz La'aretz, in Eretz Yisrael, one seder. So we're going to do seder Friday night, seder Saturday night, and you do not prepare for the second seder while it's still Pesach on the first night, on the first day. In this case, especially because it's Shabbat, but you cannot prepare one for the other.
I learned today, and you could probably, I might be not saying this completely correctly, but the reason we do two seders instead of one in the United States is because in the times of the diaspora, before there was email and technology and whatnot, they didn't know if, the full moon was on the 14th or the 15th.
Correct.
So to be conservative, they kept Pesach.
It wasn't conservative. It was based
both nights, just in case.
So I actually put in my book, my first book, you got questions. So you have a whole answer over there. Shameless plug. My book, yeah. Shameless plug. I'm okay with that. There's no pride anymore. Basically, they used to spread the information via fires on mountains right through Israel and outside. And eventually, the Sadducees came and they messed it up for us by lighting fires on different days. After witnesses had seen the moon, right, the new moon, not the full moon, the new moon, and therefore they set up a calendar for outside of Israel. Israel they knew because it was inside, but outside they kept it 2 days.
We're supposed to do Pesach the night of the first new moon in the month of Nisan, or what does the new moon have to do with?
That's when you start the month. That's when you know when to begin the month. And once you know when to begin the month, then you know 15 days later is Pesach. So the new moon actually establishes the entire holidays for us. Crucially important. Crucially important.
And so will we actually have a new moon on Friday night?
No, we had it at the beginning of Nisan, 15 days before. The new moon is the beginning of the month. We're going to be halfway through.
So you always do it halfway through the...
The Jewish holidays generally appear halfway through, but the new moon, except Rosh Hashanah, obviously, which means the beginning of the month. But you begin, the new moon means just the crest, as it appears. All right. Wishing you a Chag Kasher V'Sameach. And you should have a wonderful, sweet, and freeing Passover.